This is from chapter 11 on the Colorado Plateau, and we're driving into the Great Sand Dunes National Monument. It was a national monument at that time. It's parked now. A long spreading stretch of land opens into the San Luis Valley, which instantly becomes my candidate for one of the most beautiful places on earth. Guarded on one side by the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, the sweeping vistas end at massive sand dunes that crowd the base of the mountain range. It's hard to get perspective on the size of the dunes. My notion of dunes goes back to the coast where we started. But these dunes are 1,000 feet higher in elevation than the Pacific Coast dunes. Unseen winds have sculpted contours in ebb and flow. Morning shadows define swales hollowed out by winter winds. The whole mass of dunes looks fluid, like turbulent waters that churn against the mountain barrier before flowing back some distance onto the valley floor to meet encroaching grasses. Two antelope grazing near the road lift their heads to watch us pass. They are not alarmed in the slightest. We are high elevation here, 8,200 feet. No wonder it's cold on this fall day. We back the trailer into a sheltered campsite and we barely fit, truck and all. But camp setup is quickly done. No pup tent here for the children, it's too cold. I grab my art pack and an apple and we are on the trail out to the dunes with the children racing ahead. Dawn's journal. We hike out onto the Great Sand Dunes in the late afternoon. Meet a large camera photographer out there from Castle Rock, Colorado. He's writing and photographing a book on the High Rockies. He invites Nate and me to go four-wheeling with him on Medano Creek tomorrow. Large spear and dart points have been found here as evidence of Stone Age people who came to hunt and gather. I imagine herds of mammoths and prehistoric bison grazing the grassy areas. What an image! We'll be lucky if we see an elk today. Dawn thinks they are higher up this time of year. The sand crunches under my boots, feeling soft and hard at the same time. I lose all speed and stop to puff. The altitude is getting to me. My naturalist husband says the sand holds us back so that we will stop and look at everything. So I take a second look. The height and bulk of the dunes loom dauntingly large. Nate and Amy run ahead. They clamber up the first dune, then roll, slide, dive, and scoot every way they can. It's hard to get hurt here. Particles of sand move along the surface as the wind picks up. And the sand makes an odd sound, a swishing, at times almost a humming. Dunes in this location are considered stable, but the wind and the force of gravity reorganize moving particles into wayward hills, hollows, dips, and mounds of sand. Over time, the whole bulk of the dune slowly shifts. I close my eyes to sense the wind and listen to the sand. For a brief moment, I feel part of the natural process of dune making, dune shaping. It's an odd sensation. It inspires me to hum along, although I don't think I find quite the same pitch. Does the whole earth have a song? Here on the dunes, I find pattern after pattern traced on the sand. Flow lines grace the contours. Bird tracks record a winged visitor. I find insect tracks that seem to go nowhere. The sand slows even the beetles as they plow miniature canyons and leave a faint trail. In this unlikely spot, a few hardy grasses are determinedly growing. Bending in the wind, the seed heads curve over far enough to sweep the sand and draw a complete circle around the plant, a radial pattern in the making. I pull out my sketchbook. Dawn's journal. Nate and I drive up the creek with our new friend Paul. We get into the timber where we find lovely stands of golden aspen, spruce, and white pine. It snows on us up high, and Paul puts a new dent in his Chevy Blazer by sliding into a rock beside the dirt track. Take a number of pictures, get back to camp late in the day, We give him our book on wild edible plants and head back to the trailer.